What's up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. If you happen to be catching this on the replay, I'm gonna wait for a few people to come in here before I get into today's topic and wherever this happens to take us. Happen to be coming at you from the Sheets in Jeffersonville, Ohio. D's 1188, what's up, Springfield Terminal? Leah, David Boyd, what's up? Man, I'm gonna tell you, we're going to get into some truck stop etiquette after a while, but man, I've been on some wild loads, and I was almost to the point, not that the loads weren't good, and actually last week turned out to be even better financially than I thought it was going to be, because some detention came rolling in, made for a very above average week. But these loads I've been on been wearing me out, and I'm going to get into that here real quick. What's up, Gene Pegleg? What's up? So anyway, I'm out here at the Sheets in Jeffersonville, Ohio. I was on a load, a high value load, coming out of, where did it come out of? Oh, where did it come out of? It came out of, where did my load come out of? I was on a high value load. Hey, first of all, I turned down a load when I was in North Carolina the other day, because I got the load when I was in North Carolina, but I was sitting in North Carolina, and I've been up forever because these receivers were taking forever to unload me. At least the second one did, which should pay off a little bit in the future. But my sleep schedule was all messed up. I was kind of low on my 14. I forget what it. Anyway, I was low on clocks, and I got a load that was sent to me, picking up at some chicken plant. And needed to get delivered that very next day at 0700 in the morning in like Gainesville, Georgia. And I looked at that shit and I was like, no, turn that down. And I said, you know what, make my PTA like midnight or something like that. So I turned that load down. I ended up getting a load from Ridgeway, Virginia, high value load going to Louisville, Kentucky. Problem with that load was, this was partially my fault, because I wasn't sure of the place, and it didn't look like there was much truck parking around where I was going to pick up. Come to find out, there was. So had I driven out there, then posted up, taken a 10, and then picked it up, it would have been different. But I didn't know there was parking out there. And, you can see stuff on Trucker Path, but you really don't know where it's at in relation to everything. So I decided to do that. But anyway, I picked up the load, or the load was supposed to get picked up at 4 p.m. I got there at 12. I didn't get out of there till 8. Now, that doesn't really matter that much, but with my 11-hour drive clock, I looked at it, and I only had about 40 minutes to spare. Keep in mind, I'm in Ridgeway, West Virginia, so I'm going to need to be taking some off-brand highway till I get to like 64 and 81 and all that, and then take 77. So I'm going through all them mountains. And I cannot lose much time. So I'm like, all right, I got to run it. So basically, I just ran that load. And I mean, I ran that load. Now, I had to keep as close to what well, how can I put this? I couldn't afford to lose much time. So it was raining, all that. I'm coming down 81, 77, 65, all that, going through Charleston, Beckley, all those places. And luckily I was light on this load. And typically I would have probably driven that load about 9 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour slower. But that was not going to work in terms of me getting there on time. So anyway, ran the load a little bit faster than I should have. And I was like, what, let me just look at my little driver eye camera and see what it says. Man, doing the driving that I had to drive to get there, I looked at my driver eye thing and I was number 1 on my fleet manager's fleet for that day. So that was a little odd. So I'm not saying I was unsafe, but I probably would have driven that load a lot slower had I not been under a bit of a time crunch. So I got there with like 24 minutes to spare. Luckily, I got there about 5 in the morning, Louisville, Kentucky. Appointment's at 7. I didn't get out of there till 1, so I told my fleet manager, do not pre-plan me on anything until I give you a PTA, because I'd been up since 4 o'clock the morning before. So I deliver the load, get to a truck stop. Obviously, I went the wrong direction, so I went north out of Louisville, stopped in Memphis, Indiana, stopped at that Thornton's down there, which was fine. Told him to make my PTA 0200 in the morning, and set my alarm to wake up at midnight so I could see if any pre-plans came in. One did, and it was picking up down south again at Horse Cave, Kentucky. One of the best shippers you're ever going to go to. Those of you guys that picked up at Marzetti in Horse Cave, Kentucky, that is like, I don't even think it took me 15 minutes. Well, okay, I had to wait for the live load call and all that. Maybe 20 minutes, including me backing in once I got there, walking into the shipper, them giving me the trailer I was going to pick up, where I was supposed to drop the other one, dropping it off, picking up the other one. Maybe 20 minutes just to do that, and then maybe another 15 minutes to get out of there. That was like one of the best places. So anyway, picked that up at supposed to pick up at 10:30 a.m. I got there at 8:30. It was ready to go. So I don't deliver till 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I got a good night where I don't got to wake up or set no alarms, any of that stuff. So this is wonderful. All right, the good brother, I swear I'm about to unsubscribe from you. I've never begged for no, well, I think I made say comment, subscribe, but you could leave or whatever. I don't really, not really worried about it. All right. Zon Man, what's up? All right. Bad Breath Security Guard, what's up? What's going on? Probably deadheaded from Michigan to North Carolina after rejecting a load to Washington State because my sleep schedule was jacked. I hear you. Midlife trucker, time to do some sketchy stuff. I was driving that a bit faster than I typically would. Luckily, I was like 16,000 pounds, so I was ripping and running. No hippie, are you a fan of parking at rest areas? Absolutely not. I hate rest areas so much. I hate travel plazas. That's how bad I hate rest areas. Was that load ending up in Louisville at Slugger Factory? No, it was at UPS Logistics or something off of 1860 something loop or something like that. Good brother, I'd never worked for Prime. I would suggest you not doing that. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at my numbers last week, and hey, regardless if you work at Prime or any other company, I think and I don't normally talk about this, but since you're probably gonna, I think I did $5,800 in revenue last week, no truck payment and all that. I really can't say what I net because I didn't dig into it. I just know that I have $5,600 in bills. I took $1,300 out of my emergency fund, and ended up being like negative 170 something. So I probably net 3,500, 4,000. Well, let's see, 50, yeah, mid threes out of that. So shit. I don't mind working at Prime. It's not what it was before, but if I just look at it from financial, I'm good. Richie put out another video. I think he'll try anything except Cheeseman, and he's in North Carolina. You can lead a horse to water, as they say. It was nice going through West Virginia empty. It's always good. All right, the Good Brothers in Beckley, West Virginia. Normally, if I'm in that area, they got a truck stop out there called Go Time or something like that. That's usually where I like stopping, in that area. James Worley, I don't mind rest areas if I need to park and running out of time. Anywhere is good if you're running out of time, but I can't remember. Well, yeah, I can. I stopped at a rest area just because it was close one time. I wasn't planning on staying there overnight just till I get the next dispatch, but I do not like no rest areas. Midlife trucker, I could buy a cowboy hat and go to Hirschbach. Yeah, as long as I don't finance that bad boy, because that ain't coming through. Anyway, I want to talk about some truck stop etiquette. I was talking to somebody on the phone that was new, that was just asking general questions about it. And I remember when I was new, but last night I thought about it because I'd had this conversation a few days before. Never would park in Nitro. So I'm at this Thornton's in Memphis, Indiana, right across from that big Love's over there. This is a shit show. And I park, and I'm sitting there for about 45 minutes, and I'm looking, and I'm saying, some asshole's gonna park in front of me up against this curb. So I moved up. There was a long-nosed Pete that was next to me, a space, and then where I'd park. So I pull up and pull right next to the long-nosed Pete. I pull in, and I just kind of glanced over there because I was wondering if he was going to say something like, there's all these spaces, why is he parking here? And he was like, thanks, man, now I can go get some good sleep. So I think what I was afraid of when I first started driving was parking next to somebody and then them like saying what I thought this guy, even at this time, was going to say, why is this guy parking next to me? He's got like 2 open spaces next to him. First of all, I did it because I wanted to get out in the morning. And second of all, I did it, and I didn't think about it at this time, but if I can park next to somebody if there's 2 spaces that are empty, or however you want to put it, I'm going to always try to park to somebody's passenger side if I have an empty spot on my right. So if somebody's going to back in, they're going to be able to see the front of my hood. What I don't want is to be leave that space between the two, and when they're backing in, they can't see my truck when they're backing in. So anyway, I always prefer to park next to somebody, especially if I could back in between 2 trucks, even if there's empty shit around. If my APU is on my passenger side and it's in the middle of summer, it's hot. I mean, I know it's not 118 degrees out here, but that's what my dash says. If I could park next to this guy, because there was nobody in any of these spots, I parked next to her spot. My APU's got all the shade on it right now, so I don't got to worry about that overheating or anything like that. I always worry about getting hit when I park in truck stops, so I always will try to park between people, and I think a lot of people appreciate that, especially later in the day when people might be staying up like waiting for somebody to park so they can go to sleep. So that's that. Now, some other shit. Now, this is going to get a little racial, and, you know, I'm not trying to get into no race shit or anything like that. And I'm obviously not a racist person and stuff like that, but sometimes I think you got to understand your surroundings. So with all the bullshit about let's call them foreigners, or, you know, even break it down more to Middle Eastern foreigners, with these U-turns and all this bullshit's been going on, you got to understand what's going on. You just can't, like, run rogue out there with all this light on you. So I go in the truck stop, you know, earlier this morning, and tell me a motherfucker was not sitting there, like, fucking with his feet in the sink. And I'm just like, all right, listen, I personally don't care, because I'm not going to be brushing. First of all, I would never brush my teeth at a fucking truck stop basin. What I do is I got like a bunch of toothbrushes, and I brush my teeth, and I throw away the toothbrush and everything, and I, like, spit out the door or do whatever. I am not going to be in no truck stop bathroom brushing my teeth. That's not going to happen. So that doesn't bother me, but I'm just like, you guys got all these motherfuckers hating on you, and you're going to do even more to make them hate you even more. Like, come on, just like, anyway. So that, you know, that's another thing as far as truck stop etiquette. Another one, this is the worst one. Now, maybe if it's a female or something like that, but you know when you're walking in a truck stop and you got a dude that's like way too far ahead of you to be holding the door for you, and you may not be wanting to walk all that fucking fast, and he's holding the door, and you're like 45 feet away, and that motherfucker's still holding the door. Man, if it's a guy, just shut the goddamn door. I'm up here rushing in because this motherfucker's holding the door for me, and I'm like way back here. Come on. Oh, shout out to Tim Travels. What's up? Hope you're still alive, bro. All right, the good brother, don't park next to me with that loud reefer if you don't want to step in shit when you wake up. Hey, my APU is way louder than my reefer, yo. I mean, my reefer first is the last thing you got to be worried about. And really, all these people with their trucks going all night, that shit's louder than a reefer. So you're parking next, you think that parking next to a 389 with this pulling flatbed with their truck going all night with their weak ass fucking air pressure going out all night, psh, psh, and all that noise, that's way louder than a fucking reefer. Now, if you want to complain about my APU, then you can complain about my APU, but it's not my reefer that's going to be waking anybody up. So, you know, that's some other truck drive. That's some other truck etiquette right there, man. And I did, man. And this was back when I was teaming with my old trainer. About a month ago, something like that. Walk in the bathroom and you see them water bottles by the toilet. Listen, like I said, sometimes you got to read the room, do what you got to do in the restroom. If it fits within your customs and all that kind of shit, but don't be leaving that motherfucker. Oh man, and I knew what the motherfucker was for too. So yeah, that's one right there. Oh, and then actually what really made me think about this, somebody got mad at me today because I pull in, we're in the Lebanon, Ohio. Pineapple Fanta is like one of the best drinks ever. It's almost as good as Squirt. But I'm at the Flying J, Lebanon, Ohio. Hold on, I'm gonna get to A-Rod's coming here in a second. And that's a busy Flying J. So I'm pulling in, and there's a guy that probably was waiting for somebody to pull up in the fuel island, but he went inside, so there's a gap, just big enough of a gap for me to pull in and cut in front of him. So I'm like getting my fuel and everything, and he wants to come out and ask if I pulled in front of him. Yes, I did. Absolutely did. And I do it again. Alright, speaking of brushing your teeth in your truck, do you do a number 2 in a 5-gallon bucket trash bag in there? I have before, but it was an emergency. Now, I hate to be talking about this. First of all, I don't do that shit. But there was a time, I think I was in Mississippi, and I was at some place, and it was a dirt. We had to stage up at this dirt lot or whatever, and we were there for hours and hours. I think this had to be 3 years ago. Hours and hours and hours, and yeah, that was the only time that even came to be. And I had to go back behind the trailer and do all that. Was the first and only time, and that was because it was like unexpected, because I've never been one like to do that shit in public. Like, I'd be at work, and I'd be, back when I was in the mortgage business or whatever, and people be doing that shit in the restroom. I'm like, you didn't think about this shit when you woke up this morning? I mean, it's a pretty set schedule. And if shit did creep up on me back then, I would not do it at fucking work. There was a hotel across the way, like around the corner. I used to drive to the hotel, park up there, go use the hotel bathroom, and then eat all their free happy hour shit, and then go back to work real quick. Alright. Do you pour pee jug out in the parking lot before you leave? No, I'll go to the back of the trailer and drop that shit back there. So no, I definitely don't do that either. I don't pee in water bottles with the small... I mean, this would be what I would be. This is, cranberry. Anyway, yeah, that would be kind of... I'm not doing no little Pepsi bottles if I gotta do it or whatever. And if I am doing it, it's gonna be, I'm putting, like, if I have some mouthwash, I'll, put that in there. I got these bottles. This right here, alcohol. It's good for spraying down your mirrors, wiping windows down, anything that needs to get disinfected. But be throwing some of that in there too. And if I'm really gonna use the bathroom like that, I'll burn a shower credit in a heartbeat. All right, all right, midlife trucker. I try not to have a prime truck on my left. Deer bar gets on the way of my exit. I'm not too big of a fan of the deer guard. I got one on my truck, but I just put that on there when I was going to be teaming. These pretty girls trucking, I wonder how they do stuff sometimes. Female truckers, man, just... if you were to tell me I had to be a female and deal with whatever females go through out here on the road, I would say that just to be a male, it's worth, like, I would pay $400 extra if I was a female just to be able to do male shit a month. Peg leg rubbing alcohol is a good thing to use in your windshield washer fluid in the winter. That's why I got it out here, baby. I got 90% alcohol out here in the truck. I use it for that, and I'll throw it in my airlines if my trailer breaks or catching or something like that. It makes the truck look ugly, in my opinion. Yeah, but boy, if you hit some shit without that deer guard. And listen, when I was in training, or not when I was in training, when I was training my trainer a few months ago, we were driving through Kansas, right out there by Olathe, and we were just about to park or get where we were going, I forget, but I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm like looking at the phone or something. He's like, there was a deer coming up. He's like, you want me to hit it? And I was like, fuck no. So he used some evasion to miss that deer. The deer may have actually hit the back of the trailer, but he missed the deer. And I was like, man, if he wasn't about money, like if he was a regular student, because I tried to give my boy extra money. He's like, you never asked for money. I'm not going to ask you for any money. And I got money. So, but if a regular student had been able to avoid that deer and save me that shit, I was going to give him like $600 just for missing that damn deer. Put that settlement on glass. Hold on a second. You know what? I can show you the gross, but I can't show you the net because I had $5,600 coming out last week for tires and all that kind of shit. So my actual net was like negative 270 something or whatever. But I could show you the 58 if you're not believing that. And the way you look at it, if I had a truck payment, let's round 58 to 6. The way I would normally look at my pay is half of whatever the net is or whatever the gross is. So I'm around 58 up to 6. Half of 6 is 3. But since I don't have a truck payment, add $1,200 to that, and that's kind of what my net should be. So my net should have been about $4,200, which it was, and I was a little bit negative because I had the deductions for the truck tires and all that shit. And I really didn't do, and I really, at first I thought it was going to be at $4,800, and then some detention came in. And listen, I'm the last one to, listen, I don't even brag or care about the fucking the net, the gross, none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm the one that was going to go company back in the day. So, and to me, regular income is not the income that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the long-term income. Shout out to my son that just moved into my rental condo out there, stepping his life up. Hopefully he can hurry up and get things right to buy his own house. But that was a good move for him. But those are that's the money I care about. And yeah, I did charge him rent. That's the money I care about. Investments, investment property. This other shit right here, this money is just money to get me along. That money is long-term money. All right, Leah said she beat me by a good bit. Unfortunately, she got a truck payment. Yeah. I'm just telling you, you might want to... Leah, we've already had this conversation. You have all these coaches out here and all these other motherfuckers there telling you how good different leases are. Listen, get into a lease at Prime, a lease purchase, have that shit paid off in 3 years, and after 3 years, it's like gravy. Like, there's no fucking stress whatsoever. Like, I took off a month, damn near. And the only thing I came back to was what? Less than $800? You know. Alright. Peg leg, if you had a choice, would you run duals over super singles? Yes. No, I would run super singles over duals. And not for any other reason than if I gotta tire this out, I want to know what to tire this out. And I don't believe in that. If you have it, you could limp it to wherever, you know. And I, there have been so many times when I've had loads that were so fucking heavy that if I had duals on it, I know I wouldn't have been able to run that load. No, I'm not Jeff Bezos. I'm just telling you, it's just like real. It's real shit. And I'm not even sure if Jeff Bezos speaks on this. I mean, he's rich beyond that. I'm just saying that it didn't take any gurus to tell me that the money I'm making week to week or month to month is money to get me to where I need to go, but it's the money that I put in play that's going to be around long term. That's the real money. And I treat it like that. I try not to buy no dumb shit with that money. I try not to go, you know, I can't even remember the last time I had a substantial car payment. I'm driving around old ass fucking cars. As a matter of fact, my emissions just came in on the car or the truck that I drive, and it's good for another year, so I could drive that another year, and then in another year I just throw it away. Had the truck since 2015. But that's what sometimes old age gives you a little bit more of a, gives you a better perspective on things. So anyway, those are some truck stop etiquette things. You know, but I have a car payment now. I owe $600 on a car that I bought my wife when her car went down. Not the last time I was home, but the last time I was home before that. And I paid off $14,000 in less than 2 months. I could pay it off now if I wanted to, but at this point I paid off so much interest on it that I'm down to like $800 or something like that, that I'm just paying the $200 a month till it's done. So yeah. You mean you're not buying a scat pack? Man, the last thing I would want is a fucking scat pack. I mean, I think it'd be better to have a scat pack in Colorado, even though winter's around, than in some of these places, because I'm not trying to get robbed for my car, you know what I mean? And I mean, really, if I'm putting $1,100 a week away into my emergency fund, so to the question, could I buy a car off or not? I mean, shit. It does look like the Fed just lowered the interest rates. I was waiting for the September dip to happen real quick, and I was gonna put some more money in the market. I did sell off a couple stocks that tariffs I think were gonna be killing, and I was waiting for a couple other things to drop before I went into those. But I'm gonna throw some more money at that as soon as everything shakes out, because I got my truck tires and all that shit paid off. That was $5,600 last week. I got my third quarter taxes. I didn't pay all that they were asking because I know that I got some deductions, but they were talking about $9,500, $9,500 and $1,800 or something on it. So I paid. I didn't pay all of it, but I put a little something on it. And then I got my taxes that I did. My 24 taxes are just getting done right now. So I want to see how all this shit shakes out before I go moving anything around. You know, and back to this truck stop etiquette shit. I was right after this guy got ran over at this truck stop and killed or whatever happened to him. I was at a truck stop. I was at a TA somewhere in Alabama, and I was parked right next to the building. I got my fuel in my truck. I was gonna put in my reefer. I started pulling up. The guy that worked in TA came walking right out the door, not even looking, right in front of the truck. He could have been done. Hold up. Hey, Bandit, and back to your last question, I definitely can't be buying no Scat Pack if I got to get ramped up to buy this other Peterbilt here pretty soon. Once they kick my shit off the fleet in about 3 years, that's going to piss... Well, who knows? In 3 years, it might be time for this to go anyway. And then I'll just sell this to somebody that, you know, wants a good truck that's been well maintained at a low price. You know what I mean? I know there's a bunch of people out there that could probably benefit from something like this. Let me grab something real quick, though. The only thing bad about this leather is that shit be sticking to your ass. Alright. Let's see. All right, hold on. So you're buying another truck and making all this money. I might have to buy another truck, not because I want to buy another truck, but they won't let it stay on the fleet for longer than a certain amount of time. And that, you know, maybe in that amount of time or before that, I may not want to keep the truck anyway. All right, now I'm just showing this because motherfuckers are thinking I'm out here lying about some shit. But I don't know if you can see that. Total revenue, 5601, I think it said. Yeah, I thought it was. Anyway, not lying. Okay, I'm just saying that because I don't want anybody to think I'm out here perpetrating the fraud. Because I thought that my word was good enough with people, but sometimes I always got people thinking I'm lying about some shit. All right, you want to sell me that Ram next year, no emissions? Hey, Bandit, if you want to come, listen, it's a good truck. It was a fucking Missouri truck when I got it, so it's got some rust on it. But if anybody that wants that fucking truck when I'm done with it, they can come out and get it for free. You know what I'm saying? 2009 Ram 4-door. Hemi. Yeah, right. Everybody says that. Listen, I'm not sure the truck. I mean, listen, it's a good ass truck. We'll see. You know what? We'll see. Because actually, last time I drove it, the shit was making like it was making like some weird sound I hadn't heard before. Like it was almost sounding like the vents or something, like the air conditioned vents were like one to open and close or something. I don't know. It's just got to get me A to B. But really, if somebody was just to take that fucking engine out and then just put it in whatever, not that anybody wants to put all that work in, the engine on that motherfucker is a beast. How many referrals? 0, yo. You know, hold on. There might be some lingering shit. Hold on. But we're talking less than $40. I just find it hilarious that people are all like thinking I'm always trying to lie about some shit. Or why anybody would think that, me of all people. Because I'm the last one to really even be thinking that this money's impressive or something like that. Like, oh, you make this, you know. When I was in my mortgage shit, when I was really in that swing, that makes this money look like fucking nothing. I mean, it's just the fact that this job is so fucking easy that really makes it, like, that's the only thing that makes this impressive, is that you could have a job so fucking easy. Alright, let me see. Alright. Okay, so 2 referrals, so 2 people that came in under me that are there, and cents on the other one. So, okay, go ahead and subtract that off of that other shit. Yep, so, and then actually the total deductions on my truck was $77.57. So I had another bill come through that I didn't actually see. I'm glad you got me looking at this deeper, because normally I don't look at my shit this deep. I look at the bottom line and I'm like, yeah, that's about what it should be. But oh, you know what some of that was? They did, okay, so they rolled some tax shit into my shit to pay for my tax preparation. And to be honest with you, I never ever look at my settlements this fucking close. It's like, okay, here's what it is. Yeah, that's about what I expected. Yeah, alright. Wish I could make money off referrals. You know what? Go ahead and take that $16 that I just made off of those referrals. And really what I wish I could do, which some people don't seem to be able to do, is be able to... Nah, I'm not even going to go there. Never mind. I don't want to... I just don't want to make anybody mad for no fucking reason. But... Man! Let me turn this back on, boy. This heat is blazing out here. And hey, when I deliver this load in Groveport, Ohio tomorrow, I know they prefer teams to be on them high value loads, but if there ain't no teams in the area, no hippie's gonna be right there in the mix, ready to grab another one up. Because they know when they look at my clock, Lyle picks up a load, high value, no high value, whatever, that motherfucker's running 7-8 hours on that first rip. All right. Unless I gotta stop and get fuel. All right, damn, got me all off track. What else? Hey, what pisses you guys off at truck stop? Let's talk about it. Is there any truck stop etiquette? I tell you what, really, here's another one. Truck stop etiquette. And these are usually people my age. Yeah, Abacus does my taxes. Here's another one. This usually happens with people my age. You ever been in a hurry and you get that old ass truck driver, usually old, sometimes young, actually all ages, but usually a little bit older, and usually been driving trucks for like 20 plus years, and you want to pay for your shit and get out of there, and this motherfucker wants to have a conversation with the cashier like they've been best friends for the last 40 years. Oh man, I cannot stand that shit. Yeah, dumb idiots parking at the scale or blocking it. One thing I can absolutely say is I have never parked outside of a normal parking spot at a truck stop. Ever. I almost did it one time in like East Texas or Louisiana one time, and I parked next to the scale and I sat up for a while and somebody pulled out, so I was able to back into that spot. So I didn't even do it at that time. I 7 years never parked outside of a line at a truck stop, ever. Never made a spot, never did anything like that. I cannot stand when people make a spot, especially in front of me. And that's why I got my business cars to put on their truck. The worst diarrhea mouth. I don't know what that is. Is that me cussing? Or another one that pisses me off is it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me when I'm backing, but I'm looking at other people. Like if somebody's backing and there's a truck that's like giving them no space, like they're just like all up on them, even if they're not encroaching on their space, but they're just, it's almost like they're trying to intimidate him or something. Like that's gonna help. That pisses me off right there too. I guess we're gonna have some problems, man. If you park there, I mean, I've never, you know. Hey, nothing wrong with talking to cashiers, but damn, having them long ass conversations. And actually, it happened at a receiver the other day, or receiver. I was at a receiver the other day, and some guy that's like a local guy or something that always goes there. You know, he turns in his paperwork. He's done with everything. Then he's gonna have about another minute and a half conversation. I'm like back there standing there looking at him. At some point, I did say, "All right, now." Peg leg. One thing I hate at truck stops is brown streaks on toilet seats. Man, it's gonna be rare for me to be in one of those. It's not in a shower or something like that. Yeah, that's horrible. Hey, those of you guys that just came in here, if you guys aren't subscribed to Terry over at Tim Travels, go take a look at his channel. He's sitting at home trying to recuperate from some surgery before he gets back out there. I do miss him out here. I mean, he did just do a video the other day, but I miss all the history lessons and stuff that he gives out there on his videos. Also, if you really want to see some money type shit, go check out Midlife Trucker Tom Bell, company driver over there, making 6 figures. Go check his channel out. Slime Pack, obviously, Prime, repping Prime. Go check her channel out. And he's not in here right now, but if you want to see somebody that says goddamn more than me, go check out Romaine the Trucker out there at Hellwig, company driver. Alright, James, did they find out what that Prime driver died? Okay, did they ever find out how that Prime driver died? That was in the bushes not far from his truck. He's talking about in Northeast Maryland at the Smithfield, or I think it was Smithfield. No, they just found, I haven't heard anything about how he died. But when I'm dead, I'm dead. You know, how I died really doesn't matter all that much. But who knows? He might have just, I don't know. I'm not sure there was anything. I wouldn't suspect that there was anything crazy about it, but I don't know. I do think Prime should have said a little bit more than they did about it, though. As well as other shit. They want to talk, oh man. People want to talk about how long people have been working at Prime and how long this guy's been working at Prime, how long that guy's been working at Prime. You know what? I think recognizing some of us people out here that actually died for the cause should have our name mentioned and shit, regardless of how the death came. So, Ernest Martinez, boom, his name should have been mentioned. Fucking whatever the dude's name was, I don't remember it anymore, that died in wherever. His name should have been mentioned, as well as a whole bunch of other people that died on the job at Prime should have been mentioned, rather than mention all these people that have been at Prime for 48 years and shit like that. Yeah. Man, a simple fucking mention. Anyway. What's up, brother? I have a load at the Denver yard. Would you help? No. Was that you that saw me at the Denver yard when I was out there and said, would I deliver that load the next day if you paid me? I was just wondering. Yeah, I don't know. That, man, you brought up you picked the scab off a wound talking about that shit right there, because I do think that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I was out in Denver when I was at home last time, and I was bringing my truck back to the shop, about to run back home, and Truck Trader Sam saw me up there and asked me if I would deliver his load the next day. And I was like, there is no amount of money. But back to the other stuff. That right there is so simple. And I'm beyond worried about if Prime's a family and all that kind of stuff. Is, you know, it's more the money than all that. We can get back to the family shit later. But the last I heard, when my sister died, we mentioned it. At least mentioned it or whatever. As a matter of fact, I think there should be, like, how they have all these plaques of all these million-mile drivers that aren't at Prime anymore. hanging up. I think they should have like the CIA and all that shit. These are our fallen soldiers and shit. People that died out on the fucking load. And, whether they caused it or whatever, if they got sick, whatever, there should be a wall just made up of that shit. These are people that gave their fucking life for this company. And am I wrong? Come on, tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll take it back. And I'm not saying is it expected, but am I wrong for thinking that wouldn't be a good thing to have out there? Please tell me. Especially if you're going to be gloating about how long somebody's been at the company. Every fucking meeting, we got to hear about somebody's been at the company for 48 years and all kinds of stuff. And, that's great. I applaud that. I'm glad they are. I'm glad my fleet manager's been at Prime for, I don't even know how long he's been there. He's been there at least 9 years. So I'm glad that he's staying there. I don't want anybody else to take his place. None of that stuff. But it's a whole lot easier to keep a fucking job or stay at a job if that's what your job is. Now, go to the drivers and be like, okay, because it's not the same. You can't say it's the same. Of all the drivers that have been at Prime more than 2 years, how many of those drivers are here 30 years, 20 years, whatever? There's going to be some, but not to that same degree. So that lets you know how much harder that job is. Well, it's not harder. It's more, it takes more dedication to do that job, or this job. And that's any company. That's not just Prime. That could be Swift, Sierra England, Hillwig, whoever. They should, drivers should not just die and just go by the wayside. Like, they died and, there's no mention of them or anything like that. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I've never really thought about this shit that much. That really pisses me off. But it didn't happen this year, thank God. Now listen, 9/11 was a long time ago. Pearl Harbor a long time ago. Man, up until this year, motherfuckers were crying about this 9/11 shit like it happened yesterday up until last year. And it was a tragedy, all that shit. I remember it like it was yesterday, but come on. But we ain't gonna do that, have them saying tears for these drivers that have passed away due to medical shit, due to accidents, due to whatever. Oh man, I need to stop thinking about that. Because somebody that is a YouTuber, I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but the day before the meeting they said, how many tears you think they're gonna be in tomorrow's meeting? And I was like, about what? And then this person said 9/11. And I was like, yeah, man, they didn't get into it this year. And 9/11, tragedy, all that kind of stuff, obviously. But, heartache fades away. You know what I mean? It wouldn't, we just had a driver that died 6 months ago that we didn't even say anything. Oh, I'm done. I can't even think about that. I'm getting mad right now. Hey, Alex, we aren't really talking about shit. Somebody just asked me about if we found out about a driver that died a while back, and then it made me think about some other shit. And so it really wasn't that. The beginning of the video, I was talking about truck stop etiquette. Banned at 579. They should have driver health and fitness on the road for a week. Absolutely. It's easy to be a fucking workout warrior when you're at fucking home. Fuck, I was going to the gym 2 times a day when I was at home. How hard is that shit? I mean, to be honest with you, I'm getting in that mode where I need to shut it down because there's a lot of shit that. Do you take any walking breaks during your 8-10 hour drive shift? I do at rest areas. Yeah, I walk into the truck stop and out. I'd had some I tweaked my hip a while back, but then like last year I stepped out of my truck onto like a, there's like these little, you know, when you pull into some truck stops, they got them little like dips where the truck tires go into. And then I tweaked my knee, and then it's just been like going back and forth between my knee and my fucking hip. And then I go home, and then everything starts getting better, better, better. I'm like, I don't feel it anymore. And then I get back out on the truck, and then if I could scoop my seat back maybe about another 8 inches when I'm driving, and just like absolutely have my legs straightened out or something. Oh man. You're right. I think about some of the stuff. A lot of times that I drive the way I do isn't because I want to or anything like that. Sometimes I'm thinking, here's where I gotta be, and I know what the truck parking situation is gonna be like, so I gotta beat everybody there, or you know. All right, let me turn this damn truck off. So these last couple loads I had wore me out so bad that I was literally saying this next load is gonna predicate whether I stay out on the road or I just ask to get routed back home, just because it was just fucking ridiculous. Like the 2-stop load had me waking up and then delivering 2 loads, and the loads were scattered apart, and the second load took forever to get done, and you know, I'd been up like forever, and I get a load from my fleet manager. It's like, this load picks up at like 2100 of the night, which would allow me just long enough to get a 7-hour break, and then deliver at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that would have been, I would have been up, and I'm like I keep saying, I'm good for 36 hours. But I looked at this fucking load, and I'm like, I'm gonna be up for at least 25 hours just to deliver the load, and then it's going to Georgia down near Atlanta, and it delivers at 7 in the morning. I got to deal with that. I said no, I'll send my PTA like when I'll be ready. So I turned that load down, gave him a different PTA, and that was a load picking up. Fuck. Oh, that's right. So I was in North Carolina. That was a load. So I turned down a meat. No, that was a different load. So I got that load going to North Carolina. Then I dropped the load in North Carolina. No, that's the same load. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I turned down the load they were going to give me. Picking up at a meat plant in North Carolina, going down to Georgia. And I looked at that and I was like, I'm tired. It's a meat load. Fuck that. Turned it down. Told them to set my PTA to like 200 in the morning. Wake up in the middle of the night, look at my thing. Great. High value load. And it's not picking up, or it's a high value non-meat load. I'm all on it. So boom. Get that load. It was supposed to be a 2-stop or 1-stop load going to Louisville, Kentucky at the UPS supply chain place. The only problem was it was going to be tight as far as my drive hours, so I'm ripping and running through West Virginia, all that shit, trying not to lose any time. I get out there with like 25 minutes left on my clock. Cool. My appointment's supposed to be at 7. I get there at 5. I'm thinking I'm about to at least get a couple hours of sleep, get in the dock, they'll unload me. I'm low on hours, be able to get to a truck stop and go to sleep. These guys took so fucking long to unload me that, and get me in a dock and all this. I wasn't out of there till almost 1 o'clock. So at this point, I got to split. And Most fleet managers, they think the hours is exactly how long you've been sleeping. I was like, my hours do not match my sleep time. So I sent a message. Do not plan me until I send a PTA. So boom. Get to a truck stop, send a PTA. I think I got to the truck stop at 1 p.m. I said, my available time is 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Excuse me. And in my mind, I'm thinking this load is gonna dictate. If I'm dealing with this kind of shit on these next loads, just send me home. I'll deal with it later. So this was like, so far, the easiest load you could ask for. Picking up in Horse Cave, Kentucky at Marzetti, going to Marzetti and Oak Grove, 200 something miles. It delivers tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I've been at this truck stop since 2 p.m. So I get to go to sleep. No alarm, no nothing. And then, do that. So, all right, A-Rod, hear me on that. I'm the same way. Hurry up and get there. I'm well aware of that stuff too. All right, what's up, bud? What's up, Rakesh? Alex, I only do that if I'm ahead of schedule. Yeah. Atlanta's the worst track. Atlanta's not even close. Man, I think that I could rattle off a bunch of places worse than Atlanta. Atlanta's not. There's like regular places worse than Atlanta. Like Nashville is worse than Atlanta. Don't give me any places that are really worse than Atlanta. Boston, Dallas, Fort Worth. Obviously, New York, New Jersey area. I'll put Seattle in front of Atlanta or Portland, one of them two. I don't know how many people were becoming millionaires at Prime, which is a starter company, by the way. There's a lot of people that are fucking becoming millionaires at Prime. Well, I've never had Peg, like I've never had anybody knock on my door. I'm headed to Tennessee, Georgia. Not looking forward to going around Atlanta. Well, that's a ways out from Atlanta, so depending on which way you're coming. Horse Cave, Kentucky doesn't have the Amish store across the street from Love's. Yeah, so the place I picked up at, if you left that Love's and made a right left instead of right to the highway, you go down a few miles and a couple turns and it's up in there. Cincinnati was bad like today. Shit. Yeah, Slime Pack, becoming a millionaire has little to do with how much money you're making at Prime. Being a millionaire or anything that has to do with your net worth has to do with more about what you do with your money than how much money you make. I've dealt with people's money since 2001 or 2000, and oftentimes the people that made the most money were didn't have the most wealth. So the two really aren't correlated with each other. Mild correlation, but not much, because a lot of times, and I will say this about my neighborhood is a little bit low-key for what it is. But a lot of people in surrounding areas that are kind of around the same thing, you'll see a lot of people that are making a lot of money are spending a lot of money, and a lot of it is to keep up with whoever, or I did dumb shit when I was young. I spent a lot of dumb fucking money when I was young, and I think what I learned the most during banking business and getting in people's finances was that people that didn't waste money on dumb shit had a bunch of fucking money. Now, it may not be evident. It may not be money that they're seeing every single month or every other week or something like that, but it was part of their net worth. If you're not going to door that early, okay. The good brother, man, there are, I can absolutely tell you, I know people that came from nothing at Prime that I haven't seen their financial statements, but if you just added up the amount of trucks they own with how much what they're worth, there's almost $1 million in fucking just right there. But even let's say you cut that in half. Let's say that if you took these 7 trucks and said, you know what, they're only worth $500,000, then you added in the value of their house, then you added in the value of their 401ks or investment accounts or whatever it is. I mean, if you really think about it, it doesn't take that long. Anyway, $1 million is not that far. Tanker used to be good back when it was a secret division at Prime. Think about it like this. From when I first started Prime, even if you didn't take any of my income, none of that shit whatsoever, just in 7 years, just off of property alone, I've increased my net worth by $400,000 without even making $1. Just what the houses were worth then versus what they're worth now. So that had nothing to do with Prime or anybody else, anything like that. And Slime Pack is speaking like a true prodigy. It's not about the money you make from your job, more on what you invest from the money on your job. See? Speaking like a true prodigy right there. You got to be able to look at money without technically thinking about the money. See, Jasmine is wise beyond her age.
Let's get our rules of the road straight.
Yeah, she's making me think about one of the best lines in the world. Hold on.
Don't do shit unless. Unless what? Unless you do it first. Spoken like a true prodigy. How about you, Lash LaRue? Can you keep your spurs from...
Yep. Alright, find ways to make money work for you. You don't work for the money, but I ain't gonna keep preaching. See, oh, Slime Pack or Jasmine right there, she's one of the only people I look at and say, you know what? She got that car out there. I'm not sure I would fucking do that myself. But if having that tool turns either equally pays itself off or pays off a large portion of that car with her YouTube or whatever she does on it, then that's a plus. I'd almost thought about when me and my wife retire, go fucking get a motorhome and drive around and do some motorhome videos and actually pay a motherfucker to come along and film us and shit and do all that stuff so I don't gotta fuck with it. But anyway, Coffees for Closer, Glengarry Glen Ross, car sales shit right there. Or that's wasn't about car sales, but that's what used to always say in the car sales business. When Kiersey leaves Prime, then it's Prime, something is wrong with them. I'm not going to say why she left Prime or anything like that. If I'm going to just say from my aspect, anybody that's been watching this channel 7 years almost, Have I ever complained about the fucking money that I've generated on the truck I'm driving? Never. Even when I was going through the shit, when I had multiple trucks, I never complained about the money because I always broke it down to the truck I was driving. This truck or whatever truck I've been driving has been profitable. I've never had any complaints about the money there. And regardless, I mean, I'm not throwing shade at anybody, whether, you know, whether it's people out there coaching or anything like that. For now, and at least for the next almost 3 years, no truck payment. Like, just no truck payment. That's like making an extra $56,000 a year. That's like making $56,000 a year before you work a day. Golden Boy Expert, what's up? So I don't know why she left Prime. There are plenty of reasons to leave Prime. I just spoke about a couple of them here earlier. But it's never been the money for me. It's been shit outside the money as to why I would ever consider leaving Prime. And there are people that I talk to that may be in here right now, and we've spoke money. I've never ever complained about the money to them on YouTube, wherever. And I don't really talk about it all that much to anybody, but if the topic comes up, I think we just had this conversation with somebody last week that I talked to, and just like, how much you think you made this week? I was like, it's gonna be about $4,800, and then I didn't think anything about it, and then the settlement comes in, and I got paid on 2 detentions that I didn't expect to get paid on. The culture's definitely changed, and that's the hard thing for me, because some of you guys out here are real truckers. Like, you guys really fucking like driving trucks. I do not like, I don't hate it, but I get no satisfaction in driving this fucking truck. I don't get any satisfaction in driving around, seeing the country, none of that shit. So when you took the culture out of Prime, that really hurt me, because that was one of the few things I had to lean on. Because I really was, as long as I made enough money to do what I need to do with it, then I was fine. So that was kind of a push. You know, sometimes better, sometimes worse, you know, whatever. It was what it was, because I could have made a lot less. I said that in videos going back 7 years. But once you took the culture away, that really made me have to refocus my energy, because think about it, if I don't like driving a fucking truck and the money isn't that great of a motivation, what is really out there to motivate me? And that was the hard thing to come to terms with. I mean, it's not like the money didn't motivate me. I have goals, and I think that's what motivated me, was the goals that I had with the money. So it changed it from, even though it was about money, it still wasn't like I wouldn't do anything for money. Like, I wasn't going to train for the money. I've already put my grind in. And then when my trainer came back and he wanted to, you know, he asked me if I'd train him, I was like, you know, I'll do it for you because you did it for me. But I didn't do it for the money. Now, the money was good. Don't get me wrong, the money was good. But Trucking Unfiltered was up. But I didn't do it. So that's what's hard, is to find your motivation when you do not like driving a truck. And every day driving a truck gets harder, because everything just pisses me off just that little bit more every day. People cutting me off pisses me off a little bit more every day. People doing dumb shit pisses me off a little bit more every day. So I gotta find the reason to be out here. And some of those are people I've met out here. You know, people I talk to every now and then on the phone. Tommy Unfiltered be, you know, one of them. Bandit 579 being another one of them. Jasmine Slime Pack being another one of them. Misfit Flatbedder being another one of them. What's up, Tammy? Rakesh being another one of them. Oh, shit. Yeah, last time I saw Trucking Unfiltered, you were out there eating some ribs or out with some girl in Kansas City. I'm glad that I had somebody to sell my truck to when I did, but I think I kind of look at what you're going through and I wish that maybe when maybe not my truck or whatever, but I just wish that you had a truck that was a little bit more reliable, than the one that kind of got you kind of twisted up in what you were going through. Do you have your green card? I'm working on it. Are you gonna be picky with choosing loads with winter approaching? No northeast loads? Man, well, listen, first of all, I don't really like fucking with northeast too much anyway. But that's definitely gonna be on the radar. But I'd probably go to the northeast before I go to, like, the western states, just because at least, I don't know, if I go to them western states, you gotta get out of there at some point, and you could be stuck in that shit for days. And I'm not. If I had to choose between northeast and northwest, I'd have to look at the weather, but at least the northeast, I know that it's not gonna, like, it may snow a lot, but that shit ain't gonna take forever to get out of. If I go to, like, let's say California, I gotta go through all the shit I gotta go to get to California, and then I gotta do whatever it takes to, in, let's say, California, Oregon, Washington, then I gotta do whatever it takes to get out of all that shit. So you could always shut it down and do all that kind of stuff, but it's the cost of money that's the biggest problem with what you're dealing with over there. And shit nobody thinks about. Flatbed people don't have to think about it. Drive-in. You could be out there, like, you have to always have that reefer full, because you never know when you're going to be stuck and you might be down for over a day. Whatever. You may not be able to make it to the fuel stop. Whatever. Trucking Unfiltered things are good now. Alright, maybe upgrading your seat might help your... Man, I got a fucking good ass seat. Check out that Corinthian leather back there. It's not a bad seat. It's comfortable. It just doesn't go back far enough. I don't know what seat you could... I don't know how that tall ass guy at Prime that was like 7'9" or whatever he was. I don't know how he was like sitting in a truck. Anyways, JB sold my 2020 Freightliner with 677 for $17K. Did I get robbed? No, not at that. I mean, I don't know what anybody else would pay for it, but shit, I didn't sell my 21 for all that much money. I mean, it was like friend prices. It was like a 21. I think it had, fuck, I don't remember how many miles it had on it. 500,000 for 48,000, something like that. And it was $25,000 down, and 25,000, or it was $25,000 down, and then $1,000 a week. Boy, I was sad when them $1,000 kept rolling in. Boy, that was some good, man. That was some good extra money right there. Springfield, Peterbilt. That is the worst place to take your truck, is Springfield, Peterbilt. But sometimes just getting any offer on a truck is kind of worth it. You know, once you get up to that price. I mean, at that point right there, if I was going to sell my truck for that amount, if I have it, I'll probably put up a video at that point and try to give somebody a chance that doesn't really have a chance. Maybe doesn't have credit, maybe doesn't have all the money, and then just like try to bless somebody with it or something like that, and then take payments, and you know, hopefully everything works out for everybody. But if I drive this truck that long, I'd be more concerned about helping somebody else than helping myself. I wish the engines and trucks were painted yellow. My next truck is going to be the plainest truck ever. That's going to be my last truck. And I'm not going to have no shit on it. It's barely going to have the truck numbers and all that shit on it. And it's going to be like white or gray or some shit. All right, well, shit. Sun is finally down out here in Jeffersonville, Ohio, at the sheets, and we already got people making spots, and they got easily 40 spots here, and this jack off right here has to park up here. Now, I don't know if that's long term or what. Hello, hi. How about you shutting the fuck up and worry about yourself? Truck number with letters, yeah. All that. All right, well, I'm about to get off here. I do appreciate you. Hold on. All right, I do appreciate you guys stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I'm out.